What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 47 of my journey documenting as a startup founder. Today, I'm going to talk about more about how am I building my own Google-like search platform, but it's AI native. So it's Google-like, but built from the ground up, how one would think about building today. So the question I asked myself was, how would I build Google if I were to start today? And that's exactly what I did. I used to work for Google Search. I quit a couple of years back to get on this journey, and I'm super excited because I'm at the tail end of wrapping this platform up. So today I want to talk a little more about how I'm thinking about building this and some details on the architecture. This is part three, so I'll be talking more and more about different parts of the technical architecture. So these are more technical videos, and also just more philosophical videos on or more. They go in some philosophical topics as well, like how I see things, how I'm building it, why I'm building it. So today, the big sort of thing I wanted to talk about was um, what sort of Google is trying to do. But for the most part, even though Google has introduced AI mode and has Gemini, I've mentioned this in previous video. I used to be at Google, and I was part of Google Search when they were building AI mode and experimenting internally AI mode. It was very much sort of an add-on to Google search to get Google in the AI age, in my opinion, versus if you look at how Anthropic and Claude and OpenAI are approaching, they are very much approaching from a perspective of how you would build an information platform from the ground up with the latest bleeding cutting edge um, uh, research and technologies. That's the difference I observed when I was at Google, and that's one of the reasons, among other reasons, why I quit. Now, don't want to make the mistake that Google, I think, makes, and they also have the innovator's dilemma to solve, to solve for. Um, so the question I asked myself was, how would I start? Well, if you look at Google, you get a query or a prompt, you get some kind of a search experience, answers, results, some ads, and then demonetize with ads. And then the game is to make the user search and search and search. So I was at Google, there was a lot of emphasis on reducing performance. In fact, I had reviewed documents where we want to get to very low millisecond search responses, because the idea was that it's very quick and people will come again and search more and more and more. Of course, they had metrics to identify or measure closure of search, but for the most part, it was very much engagement. How many queries are we getting? How many queries? How many searches? That was the metric, big metric. That was one of the big metrics. So it's very engagement driven, which is what a lot of these companies, I think, from the 2000 and 2010s were engage, 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 engage. The company I want to build is almost anti-engagement, meaning if people come use my search platform, I consider it almost a fail, because my vision is to deliver what they want before they think they need, in a privacy conscious way. That's my vision. So the goal is not anti-engagement, just to push information ahead of time, especially for stuff that we know that you'd like. So if today is a weekend and we know you like woodworking and it's a holiday, and something came up, some new videos came up on YouTube, or some interesting posts showed up on Twitter or X or social media, sum it all up, create a nice briefing for you, that and some other news that you care about, all with sort of drill down actions so that you can sort of find out more. Now, there are many companies doing this. ChatGPT has Social Pulse, etc., but they are very much they're very different than how I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about very simplistically what I would expect. It's almost like an assistant giving me a briefing, sort of president, how the United States president gets a briefing, hopefully, in every morning, what happened. That's what I want. I want my own briefing from my own assistant. And that's the goal of my search platform. So my approach is, here you go. You get a query or a prompt. You get a trusted response. So trust is a big thing. I was part of the Trust AI team or ML team at Google Search. My team built a lot of models for identifying trust related issues. I'm very close to it. And this is the one big sort of dilemma I think we need to solve for search and AI is it's good that AI is giving all these really good answers and responses and content, but is it trustworthy? Can I trust on it? And so the huge part of my effort has been in how do you try create a trusted response, mostly by looking at citations and verifying citations, and there are some other techniques too. Perplexity does this reasonably well. I think I can do better than even Perplexity. And the idea is that once you search, we can give you an option like, hey, do you want to track this? Not everything, you're not interested in tracking everything you search for. Some things you're just casually looking, maybe you're traveling, or maybe you're just curious. But if you are, we'll give you uh, briefing, just like the president gets, like I said earlier. Now, this is where ChatGPT sort of differs. ChatGPT also very similar with the pulse it does, but it's very hard to control what it's sending, and sort of the briefing itself is not to my taste. I want very simple, straightforward, and I want give users full control. So if you don't like a briefing on certain topic, you can very easily delete it. You can delete all briefing topics. You can say, don't brief me at all. You can delete all your data in one shot. It's all the things that I would expect from a search platform. So very user-centric. That's maybe the philosophical aspect. Users, the decisions are made that such that they benefit user, not investors. I have no investors. It's completely bootstrap. I'm paying by my own credit card, everything. And hence I don't have the pressure to appease investors. Now, there's a little bit of detail of the architecture. So the few things that I'm modeling for my search platform, one is, of course, the from query that, what the query or the prompt, I use them interchangeably that you get from the user, but I'm also extracting language. So I want to know what the language the query is from. Persona is something similar to sort of what Grok supports, whereas a drop down, it's almost like a tone, like you want to answer as a professional, like a lawyer, or you want to respond something in a funny way or a witty way, or you want to act it as a personal assistant, like your butler. All these things, like it adjusts the tone, but I want to do it such that it goes beyond that and also adjusts how content is selected for presentation and also how it's presented. Effort is something how much you want to invest or how much you want the AI to invest in constructing a response. So I want to do it in a very easy way, but that's the idea that, hey, I'm asking this question, but I really only want you to spend, a minute or less. Don't try too hard or just few seconds. I just want a quick response. And there's a good default, like auto, like how ChatGPT does that auto mode. So you don't even have to pick. But if you are curious that, hey, I want a good answer and take your time and I've got some credits, I may pick a high effort and sort of off you go. There's some other things. Locale is something I extract because if you're in Japan, you want, and if it's a local query, we want to find local Japanese results. Same thing for local content like news and things like that. Memory is just more for personalization. Any past memories you got, I want to extract that, formalize that. I'm not using a third-party memory library. I don't think I need it. I don't think it makes sense. Everything I'm designing is very simple, very straightforward, but completely in my control because privacy is a very important thing for me. And anytime you use a third-party service, you have to worry about how are they dealing with data and privacy. So memory, and then there are some other technical aspects like attention contract and things like that, which I'll talk in more maybe future videos. And then the one thing I do that's less, I think is slightly different is I have parallel lanes, one for a quick answer. The quick answer is also going to be available via paid API if other developers want to use this. It's actually pretty good. It's much better than Exa API and many competitors. In fact, I think it's the best API today, as of today, that's available in the market for the price. But of course, you don't know because I haven't released it. And when I say for the price, it's the price that I have in mind. But yeah, it's like a quick response. It's a parallel track. And then there's another parallel track that goes in different loops, what's called a Craig iteration loop. It's a very well-known research topic on how do you sort of improve a response by trying again and again with different sort of sources, going deeper, going wider, broader, all of that. And then you construct a response, compose it, and stream it. And then there's sorry about that. And then there's some receipts and things like that. A huge part of my architecture is to track. There's so much sort of unpredictable aspects of this kind of architecture. Sometimes, for example, I want to embed YouTube videos, and sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes on a sort of social media post, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I want to show embedded images, sometimes la la la. And then there's formatting errors, markdown formatting errors. Sometimes I'm using regular expressions, although I'm trying to avoid using as much as possible because I want this to be multilingual and global from day one. That's a core tenet. So, but sometimes I'm using and that breaks. So I have this concept of catalogs and receipts so that I can formally track through the process what made through. But long story short, once the response is constructed, there are a bunch of cards and interesting UX elements constructed. And this is how I differentiate how I am building search versus um, like the chat app. Why this is not chat app? Because of the user experience. If you see the response, when the product goes out, the response very much looks like what I think should be a search experience. It's very uh, intuitive, but also is really good sort of media sprinkled tastefully. So images and videos, also maps, also embedded social media posts like Twitter or X in the future, maybe Instagram. So it kind of gives you that all encompassing view that you can engage with and learn more versus just like a chat response that you have to ask more. So it goes above and beyond the very first time, uh, I feel, for any information retrieval. Chat is good for a lot of topics, it's a very general purpose thing. Um, but this is very much designed for information. Like you're curious about what's going on. Maybe you're a professional, real estate professional, and you really want to know what happened today or what changed since yesterday, or what's happening in this certain part of the neighborhood. Um, what have you, or you're researching a big purchase. These are things that hopefully you can get a good response the very first time. And then you can go selectively deeper and you have control over which area you want to go deeper versus always typing and typing and typing. So here, what I'm showing on this screen is something that I came up with that I don't think any other AI tool today does, which is when you get an answer and I feel something's missing. Um, this is what I was working this afternoon is at first I was like, oh, let's have an action to go deeper. So the idea is like do more research, spend more time. The AI spends more time collecting more data sources and goes, further sort of down the rabbit hole, if you will. But then I thought sometimes you want to go broader, where you want to include more sources, different types of sources. You want to expand the query, include more queries, different queries. So like the example I was thinking mine was a concert that's coming up this weekend, next weekend actually, and I want to know more about not just the musician, but also about the venue and the history behind the venue or the musician and where are they going to play and the weather, what's the weather like, and things like that. So I wanted all of that sort of just researched for me, and so what I came up with was three actions that you can take as a user when you get a response. You can say go broader, or you can go deeper, or you can do both. Of course, everything has a cost, and I still have to model cost. I have some ideas, but then it will go off and do. But it gives you that control that I don't think any AI tool today does. So this is again what I mean by search versus chat. Why this is a search experience, not a chat experience. It's very much designed around information retrieval and recent information. It fetches the most recent info for you to work with and to present versus something that the model has in its frozen in its memory. It's hallucinating, making things up. Here, there's a lot of emphasis on not just fetching, but grounding the response in that content and showing you the citation. So this is a big thing. I think, like I said, no one is doing it that I want to do. I've been working on it this afternoon, so um, I have to test it. And then this is from an AI tool that I was using. I think it's from, I think I was using um, Claude Fable, the model that got released yesterday. And it did a pretty good job. What Claude Fable told me was, hey, V, the idea that you have in mind is actually a pretty old idea. It goes from as back as 90s. It's just you, because I was like, hey, maybe you want to broaden or deeper, you should give user action. And they're like Claude Fable is like, this is a very old idea that it's funny you stumbled upon, but people have been thinking about this for several decades, and it's like a 1990s idea. Exploit the patch, move to new patches, etc., and repeatedly. That's I didn't know that, so I thought that was cool. So every time I come up with idea, I always ask my AI coding tools, like, hey, do research and search latest AI research papers, as well as sort of latest articles, as well as older articles, to make sure, like, the idea I have, is there some bearing, research grounding, is there some bearing to it, like it has some value that other people have also observed. So yeah, that's it. I think that's it that I wanted to talk about. There's some more things that I'll get in the future, but so that's kind of it. That sort of in summary, it's a search experience, very much about the user experience. Is designed around search, how you would browse the information that the AI constructs. How do you dive deeper, broader? How do you explore it? How do you embed images in videos so that, like, if it's question about, like I said, the concert, maybe there's some older concert videos that we find on YouTube from the same musician that I can play to get an idea. It would be great if it's embedded versus I have to search. And finally, one thing I haven't talked about is I always show the search results at the top. I want to give top priority to publishers. They do a lot of hard work to publish original, authentic content. I don't want to bury them and use that content to my advantage. So they're at the very top spot versus at the bottom or on the side that other companies do. I'll talk a little more about that in the future. And that's also what the Achilles heel of a startup like mine, because I'm a sort of nobody startup. Um, if I go out and try to fetch any content, it's all blocked all the time because they think I'm a spammer and I'm just scraping content for training AI models. But I'm not. I'm building a legitimate search company, and I want to fetch the latest info for the user. And if I do fetch from your website, the publisher's website, I'll make sure absolutely to do the right citation, only show a snippet or a summary, a very small summary, and attribute to the site, and make sure it's prominently visible so user can go to your site and navigate. That's my promise. But none of these publishers know who I am, and so that is sort of the biggest reasons why companies like mine don't exist. You have to kind of do the wrong things and kind of circumvent uh, all the checks and balances they have, like some companies like Perplexity has done. And then once you're big enough, start making licensing deals. I'm very small and I'm not comfortable doing that, and so I have to come up with some interesting solutions. I don't know what I'll do. I have some ideas, but that's a big problem stopping someone like me to build what I want to do. So cool. That's it for today. I will keep making more of these videos, sharing how am I doing it, why am I doing it. I'm also starting a podcast. So excited about that. And more to come. Yeah, I'm a one-person company, bootstrapping, building this myself, launching this. I'm excited once this comes out, and especially the APIs, like everything I build, I want to share it with the development community for relatively cheap. So and hopefully that's a good source of monetization for me. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.